When he first made the decision to take his life, he was just convinced that that was the only option that he had. He hung himself in prison with a belt. He says it didn't take long, but I think he said it really took longer than it seemed. But to him, it was a kind of an instantaneous. But what happened with him was at the moment when he would have left his physical body and passed, he said he changed his mind and he wanted to not commit suicide. But at that point in time, it was too late, so he went someplace very different. He says it's really, really hard to talk about his life if we don't add in abuse, if we don't add in bad decisions and pain and hurt. And so he's having a really hard time because even the good times, he said, he himself managed to ruin it or he let somebody else. So he seems to have a very, which is so sad to hear this, but he seems to have a very, very, I don't even know if it's melancholy is a good word. When he first made the decision to take his life, he was just convinced that that was the only option that he had. When he passed, he went someplace very different. He didn't get an opportunity to transcend to a beautiful place where you can go, you know, the place where maybe everybody always wants to go after they pass. He said he didn't get an opportunity to go there because he had changed his mind right at the last second, and instead he went someplace else. And the place he went was what I believe it was Sylvia Brown described it as the holding place. But what happened was he said that he went to a place. And he said this place, there was no sense of time, and there was really nobody there but everybody who had, and I want to make sure that I say this correctly so that everybody understands what he's saying, everybody who had committed suicide, or everybody at the holding place had committed suicide. However, not everybody who commits suicide goes to the holding place. But for him, in his holding place, everyone there had committed suicide, and they were all in various states of being distraught or upset about their decision. And so nobody was talking to anybody else. They were mostly just in their own world, passing each other, you know, just worried and trying to find help or a way to fix this. And he said it was a very sad place. He says it's not a very happy place at all. It's not a place that people really want to think about, or that it's just not a place that people really want to think about. It's not a very happy place. And so he said he was very lonely. But he did tell me that while he was there, and it's almost like an emptiness. I'm not even sure really how to explain it. It's almost like a nothingness, and there's people there, but they're so concerned with helping themselves get out of this predicament that they're not paying attention to anybody else. So it's very lonely. He did say that while he was there, he says Jesus came to him. And he said that Jesus came to him because although he was not religious or even particularly spiritual, if he were to connect with a spiritual being, the one that would make the most sense for him would be Jesus, because of how he was raised and, where, the religion or the Christianity that he was raised with. So Jesus would make the most sense to him. So that's who came to him, he said, and asked him if he would like to continue on to going what we would call home. And Frankie said no. He didn't feel that he deserved to be there after what he had done, after what he had put people through. He didn't believe that he deserved to go to be there with him. So Jesus allowed his free will to make the decision to stay in the holding place. And he said that happened how many times? Twice. That happened twice. That he said that he had an opportunity, and both times he said no. He didn't feel that he deserved it, so he stayed where he was. And he said then one day, and it's just, there's no time there, there's no sense of time there, so it's really just one day. He said he saw a light. It was a very beautiful, bright light, and he felt very, very drawn to it. He felt like he wanted to get up and walk to it. And he said the closer he got to it, the brighter it got. And then he's not sure what happens, but as he kind of enters this bright light, he finds himself standing in a bedroom of someone that he has no idea, just staring down at me sleeping and my husband on the other side of me. And he was equally as freaked out as I was when I opened my eyes. We were both completely caught off guard. He stayed here on the earth plane. He's not stuck. He doesn't have to stay here. He, just like when he said that Jesus came to visit him in the holding place, it's just like that. He has at any given time, he's free to continue his own personal journey to home. He's allowed to do that. He personally is very attached to Earth right now. Is it the best situation for him to be in? No. It's really not, but it would be better if he were able to get to the point where he could forgive himself enough to go home. Another thing, was another point for him to drive home that, please don't, if you're contemplating suicide, please really don't. He does say that a lot of the good in his life has happened after he passed away. And he wishes that he could have learned these life lessons, so to speak, or this way when he was still alive. He knows that it would have been a lot easier for him to learn what he had to learn. That we're all here to learn certain things on a soul level. He feels very strongly about that. And he also feels very strongly that he would have been able to learn these things without hurting so many other people and without having it be so difficult for him if he hadn't made the choices that he had. What he's saying is the opportunities that he has now would have come to him while he was still alive, and it would have been way better, and it would have been way less painful for everybody else, including himself. So that's his, really what he wanted. He just said that he really wanted to get that across, just to really make sure. It seems to be a little bit of a mission of his to make sure that people don't make the same choices that he made. And I think that that's actually very beautiful of him to want to share that. And to me, that shows that he really isn't a monster.